Jake Morrison sat in the cold metal chair and stared at the 12 alien faces around the huge table. The Galactic Council chamber was bigger than a football field. Bright lights hung from the ceiling like stars. The air smelled strange, like burning metal mixed with flowers. Jake had been sitting here for 3 hours, listening to the same complaints over and over again. The tall blue alien with 4 arms was talking again. His name was Kethver, and he was the Prime Minister of the Zenthari people. His voice sounded like glass breaking when he spoke the human language. "The humans must pay for their crimes in the Outer Rim War," Kethver said. His yellow eyes glowed with anger. "They destroyed our ships. They killed our people. They took our planets. This cannot go unpunished." Jake kept his face calm, but his hands were tight under the table. He was a former Marine colonel who had fought in 3 wars before becoming a diplomat. He knew how to stay cool when people tried to make him angry. But these aliens were testing his limits. The war had started when alien ships attacked human colonies in the Outer Rim. Families were killed, cities were burned, children died in their sleep. The humans had no choice but to fight back. And when they fought back, they won. They won big dot. Now the aliens wanted to punish humanity for winning a war they did not start. Lisa Grant, Jake's second in command, sat next to him. She was a smart woman with short red hair and green eyes. She had been writing notes all morning, but now her pen was still. Even she was getting tired of this nonsense. The Speaker of the Council was a gray alien with 6 legs named Vexthalen. He looked like a giant spider wearing a suit. His voice was soft but cold when he spoke. "The human military is too strong," Vexthalen said. "They have weapons that can destroy whole fleets. They have ships that move faster than light in ways we do not understand. This makes other species afraid. The Council must take action to make the galaxy safe." Jake almost laughed. Safe for who? The aliens had started the war. The aliens had attacked first. The aliens had tried to wipe out human colonies. But now they were afraid because humanity had better weapons and better ships. A green alien that looked like a walking tree raised one of its branch-like arms. This was Speaker Quintal from the Viridian worlds. He was old and was supposed to be wise, perhaps, Quintal said in his slow voice. The humans could share their technology with the Council. This would help all species grow stronger together. Share their technology, Jake thought. These aliens wanted humans to give them the same weapons and ships that humanity had used to defend itself. That would be like giving a gun to someone who just tried to rob your house. The red alien with the big teeth was next. General Krax from the Krexnathi military banged his fist on the table. His people were warriors who loved to fight, but they had lost badly in the war. "The humans are dangerous," Krax growled. "They fight like demons. They do not follow the rules of war. They should be put under Council control before they attack other species." Jake had heard enough. These aliens had spent 3 months making demands. They wanted human technology. They wanted human colonies. They wanted human ships. They wanted humans to follow alien laws. They wanted humans to pay money for defending themselves. Most of all, they wanted humans to act like they were sorry for winning. But Jake was not sorry. No human was sorry. They had done what they had to do. Kethver stood up. His 4 arms moved in circles as he talked. "The Council has decided," he said. "The humans must give us their quantum drive technology. They must let Council ships patrol human space. They must pay 100 billion credits to the families of aliens who died in the war, and they must reduce their military by half." The other aliens nodded. Some looked happy, some looked worried. But they all agreed that humanity should be punished for winning a war. They did not start. Jake looked at Lisa. She looked back at him. They both knew what they had to do. Jake stood up slowly. The chamber got quiet. All the aliens stared at him. Some looked surprised that he was standing without permission. "We came here in good faith," Jake said. His voice was calm and clear. "We came here to talk about peace. We came here to find a way for humans and aliens to live together without fighting." He picked up his papers from the table. Lisa did the same thing. "But you do not want peace," Jake continued. You want surrender. You want us to give you everything we have. You want us to act like we did something wrong when we defended our families and our homes. The aliens started talk all at once. Their voices mixed together like noise from a broken radio. Kethver's glass-breaking voice rose above the others. You cannot leave, Kethver said. The council has not given you permission to leave. Jake looked at the blue alien with 4 arms. For the first time in 3 months, Jake smiled. But it was not a friendly smile. We do not need your permission. Jake said, we defended ourselves when you attacked us. We won when you tried to destroy us. And now you want to punish us for not losing. Jake walked toward the door. Lisa followed him. So did the other 3 humans who had been sitting quietly all morning. Earth withdraws from all Galactic Council proceedings, Lisa said loudly. Her voice carried across the huge chamber. Consider this our formal notice. The aliens jumped up from their chairs. Some tried to block the door. Others shouted in languages Jake did not understand. But the humans kept walking. As they reached the exit portal, Jake turned around one last time. The aliens were running around like chickens with their heads cut off. They had never seen a species just walk away from the council before. Good luck, Jake said quietly. Then he stepped through the portal and left the aliens to figure out what to do next. President Mary Rodriguez stood behind the wooden podium in the Global Defense Assembly Hall. 500 people sat in front of her. These were the leaders of every human nation and colony. Their faces were serious as they waited for her to speak. The room was so quiet that Mary could hear her own heartbeat. Jake Morrison sat in the front row. He had arrived on Earth just 6 hours ago. His clothes were wrinkled from the long trip through space. His eyes were tired, but his back was straight. Next to him sat Lisa Grant and the other diplomats who had walked out of the council meeting. Mary looked at the crowd. These people needed to know the truth. They needed to know why humanity was cutting all ties with the Galactic Council. My fellow humans, Mary began. Yesterday, our diplomatic team left the peace talks on Nexus Prime. They left because the aliens did not want peace. They wanted to make us slaves. A man in the back row raised his hand. What did they want from us? Mary nodded to Jake. He stood up and walked to a microphone. They wanted our quantum drive technology, Jake said. They wanted to put their ships in our space. They wanted us to pay them money for defending ourselves. Most of all, they wanted us to act like we were wrong for winning the war they started. The crowd began to talk among themselves. Their voices grew louder. Mary raised her hand, and the room got quiet again. The aliens think we need them, Mary said. They think we cannot survive without their trade and their technology. Today, we will show them how wrong they are. Admiral Peter Hayes stood up from his chair. He was a big man with gray hair and scars on his hands from his years as a ship captain. Everyone knew him as the hero of the Battle of Kepler Station. We have been preparing for this day for 10 years, Peter said. We call it Protocol Fortress. Starting now, all human ships will return to human space. All human colonies will stop trading with alien worlds. All communication with the Galactic Council will end. A woman near the middle of the room stood up. But Admiral, what about the resources we get from alien worlds? What about the technology we share with them? Peter smiled. It was not a mean smile, but it was confident. We do not need their resources. We have been mining asteroids and building new factories for years. As for technology, they need ours more than we need theirs. Mary pressed a button on her podium. A huge screen came down from the ceiling. Numbers and charts appeared on the screen. The numbers showed trade between humans and aliens over the past 50 years. Look at these numbers, Mary said. Humans sell 10 times more goods to aliens than we buy from them. We build their computers, we grow their food, we fix their machines, we even build their spaceships. What do they sell us? Raw materials we can get from asteroids. Art and music we do not really need. Jake walked back to the microphone. The aliens have been living off human work for decades. They got comfortable, they got lazy. They forgot that we were doing them a favor, not the other way around. In space above Earth, Captain Dan Carter received his new orders on the bridge of his cargo ship New Frontier. The orders were simple: return to Earth immediately and cut all contact with alien vessels. Don had been trading with the Xanthari for 15 years. He knew their language, he knew their customs. Some of them were his friends, but orders were orders. Don turned to his crew. Set course for Earth, he said, full speed. His second officer, Lieutenant Amy Brooks, looked confused. But Captain, we have a delivery to make to the Xanthari colony on Rigel 7. They are expecting medical supplies. Don looked at the stars outside his window. Somewhere out there, Xanthari people were sick and waiting for the medicine in his cargo hold. But humanity could not help everyone, especially when those same people wanted to put chains on human freedom. Send them a message, Don said. Tell them the delivery is canceled. Tell them all future deliveries are canceled. All across human space, similar scenes were happening. Captain Steve Miller pulled his mining ship away from the asteroid belt where he had been working with Krexnathi partners. Dr. Lisa Park shut down the medical research station she shared with Viridian scientists. Engineer Tom Wilson closed the communication relay that had been sending messages between alien worlds for 20 years on the planet New Texas. Governor Rick Barnes called a meeting of all the alien traders in the capital city. There were about 50 of them. Some had been living on New Texas for years. Some had human friends. Some even had human wives and husbands. I'm sorry, Rick told them, but you have to leave. All alien citizens must return to their homeworlds within 30 days. A tall Xanthari named Kelder stepped forward. He had been selling jewelry on New Texas for 10 years. His wife was human. His children were half human. Governor Barnes, Kelder said, this is my home now. My family is here. I have done nothing wrong. Rick felt bad for Kelder. The alien was a good man who had never hurt anyone, but rules were rules. I know this is hard, Rick said. But your government wanted to punish us for defending ourselves. Until that changes, no aliens can stay in human space. On Earth, Mary Rodriguez finished her speech to the Global Defense Assembly. The vote was unanimous. Every human nation and colony agreed to cut ties with the Galactic Council. As the meeting ended, Admiral Peter Hayes walked over to Jake Morrison. Do you think this will work? Peter asked. Jake looked out the window at the night sky. Thousands of stars twinkled in the darkness. Most of those stars had alien worlds around them. For 50 years, humans had been part of the galactic community. Now they were alone again. It will work, Jake said. The aliens think they are punishing us by making us leave. They do not understand that we are punishing them by actually leaving, Peter nodded. How long do you think it will take? Jake smiled. Give them 6 months, maybe less. Then they will come crawling back, begging us to return. Far away on Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council was having an emergency meeting. But Jake Morrison was not there to see the panic in their alien eyes. 3 months had passed since the humans walked away from the peace talks. Captain Dan Carter stood on the bridge of his ship New Frontier at the edge of human space. His sensors showed 3 Xanthari ships approaching fast. They were not military ships. They were cargo vessels, the kind used by merchants and traders. Dan's communication officer turned to him. Captain, the lead ship is asking to talk with us. Put them on screen, Don said. The face of a Xanthari appeared on the main viewer. Don recognized him immediately. It was Trade Minister Vexcall, one of the most important merchants in Xanthari space. His blue skin looked pale, and his forearms moved nervously. Captain Carter, Vexcall said, I am glad to see you. We need to talk about business. Dan crossed his arms. I thought the Galactic Council said humans were dangerous criminals. Why would you want to do business with criminals? Vexcall's yellow eyes looked away from the screen. Please, Captain. My people are dying. We have a plague on our homeworld. Thousands are sick. Only human medical supplies can help them. Don felt sorry for the alien, but he had his orders. The Council voted to cut all trade with humanity. You cannot have it both ways, Minister. We will pay triple the normal price, Vexcall said quickly. No, 5 times the normal price. We Have gold, rare metals, anything you want. Earth's markets are closed to council members, Don said firmly. That includes you? The screen went dark. Don watched the Xanthari ships turn around and fly away. He knew that somewhere on those ships, alien families were crying because their sick relatives would not get the medicine they needed. But the aliens had made their choice when they tried to punish humanity for winning a war on the industrial world of Kepler 442b. Krexnothi engineers stood around a massive mining machine. The machine was as big as a building and could dig through solid rock like butter. It had been working perfectly for 5 years. Now it was broken. Chief Engineer Graxton looked at the human-made control panel. Lights blinked red all over the display. Error messages appeared in human writing that none of his crew could read properly. Did anyone call the human technical support? Graxton asked. His assistant, a young Krexnothi named Krelva, shook his head. The humans cut all communication 3 months ago. They do not answer any calls. Graxton hit the machine with his fist. The Krexnothi were proud of their strength, but this machine was made by humans using human technology. Without human help, it was just an expensive pile of metal. How long will it take to fix? Graxton asked. His chief technician looked at the repair manual. It was written in human language with human technical terms. Maybe 6 months, Chief. Maybe longer. We do not understand how the quantum processors work. Graxton looked around the mining site. There were 12 other machines just like this one. All of them were starting to break down. Without these machines, the colony could not mine the rare metals they needed to trade with other species. Send a message to the home world, Graxton said. Tell them we need human engineers or this colony is finished. On the planet Nexus Prime, Council Speaker Vex Thalin walked through the communication center. This was the heart of the Galactic Information Network. Messages from thousands of worlds came through this center every day. The center helped coordinate trade, military movements, and diplomatic talks between species. But now, half the equipment was not working. What is the problem? Vex Thalin asked the chief technician. The technician was a gray alien with 6 arms named Tekmar. His job was to keep all the communication equipment running. For the past month, his job had become impossible. The quantum communication arrays are failing, Tekmar said. They were built using human technology. The humans always sent technicians to do maintenance every 3 months. They have not come for 6 months now. Vex Thalin looked at the dark screens around the room. Each screen used to show information from different parts of the galaxy. Now, most of them showed nothing but static. Can we fix them ourselves? Vex Thalin asked. Tech single quotes Mar laughed, but it was not a happy laugh. We tried. The quantum field generators are beyond our understanding. We can fix simple problems, but the major systems need human knowledge. How long before everything stops working? Maybe 2 months, Tekmar said. After that, we will not be able to talk to most of the galaxy. Trade will become almost impossible. Military coordination will fail. Vex Thalin felt afraid. The Galactic Council controlled thousands of worlds because they could communicate with all of them instantly. Without the communication network, the Council would fall apart. On the agricultural world of Verd Prime, Viridian farmers stood in their dying crop fields. The plants were brown and withered. What should have been a harvest season had become a disaster. Elder Quindle looked at the soil analysis report. The numbers made no sense to him. What does this mean? He asked the human-trained agricultural expert. The expert was a young Viridian named Silwan who had studied at human universities for 10 years. The soil chemistry is wrong, she said. The human biotechnology we have been using for 20 years changed how our soil works. Now that we cannot get new supplies from humans, the soil is becoming poisonous to our crops. Can we fix it? Silwan shook her head. The human scientists who designed this system took their knowledge with them. I know how to use their technology, but I do not know how to make it. Quendel looked at the fields that fed millions of Viridians across the galaxy. How long do we have? This harvest is already lost, Silwan said. If we cannot get human Biotechnology within 6 months, next year's harvest will fail too. After that, people will start to starve. Back in human space, Admiral Peter Hayes read reports from his intelligence agents. The reports painted a clear picture. The Galactic economy was starting to collapse without human participation, Peter called President Mary Rodriguez on his secure communication line. "Mary, you need to see these reports," Peter said. "The aliens are in worse shape than we thought." "How bad is it?" Mary asked. "The Centauri economy has dropped by 30%. The Krexnafi military cannot maintain their weapons without human technical support. The Viridians are facing food shortages. Even the Council's communication network is failing." Mary was quiet for a moment. "Any signs that they want to negotiate?" "Not yet," Peter said. "They are still too proud, but that will change soon. The question is, do we help them when they ask, or do we let them suffer a little longer?" Mary looked out her office window at the earth below. Human cities sparkled in the sunlight. Human ships filled the space around the planet. Humanity was doing fine without the aliens. "We wait," Mary said. "They need to learn that actions have consequences. When they are ready to treat us as equals, we will listen. Until then, they can figure out how to survive without us." The quiet war between humanity and the rest of the galaxy was just beginning. 1 year had passed since the humans walked away from the peace talks. Council Speaker Vex Thalen sat in his private office on Nexus Prime. The room was dark except for the light from his computer screen. And the numbers on the screen made him feel sick. Economic reports from across the galaxy painted the same picture everywhere. The Centauri economy had shrunk by 40%. Millions of Centauri had lost their jobs. Their cities were running out of power because the human-built fusion reactors were breaking down. The Krexnathi military was falling apart. Half of their warships could not fly because human-made engines were failing. Their soldiers carried weapons that no longer worked. Some Krexnathi colonies were asking other species for protection because they could not defend themselves. Even the peaceful Viridians were in trouble. Food riots had started on 3 of their worlds. Their people were hungry because the crops kept dying without human agricultural technology. Vex Thalen pressed a button on his desk. "Send in Economic Minister Kalthara," he said a few minutes later. A tall alien with purple skin and 3 eyes walked into the office. Kalthara looked tired. She had not slept well in months. "How bad is it today?" Vex Thalen asked. Kel single quotes sat down heavily in the chair across from his desk. "Worse than yesterday. The Centauri Prime Minister called this morning. Their main industrial world has completely shut down. No power, no factories, no jobs. They are blaming us for starting this crisis." "What about the Krexnathi?" "General Krax sent a message an hour ago. His people are talking about rebellion. They say the council led them into a war they could not win and then made them lose the peace too." Vex Thalen rubbed his forehead with one of his 6 arms. "Any word from the humans?" "Nothing. They do not answer our calls. They do not respond to our messages. It is like they have disappeared from the galaxy." That was not exactly true. Agent Kelly Brooks sat in a small coffee shop in the alien quarter of Nexus Prime. She looked like a regular human tourist, but she was actually a spy for Earth intelligence. For the past year, she had been watching and listening to everything that happened in the Galactic Council. Kelly sipped her coffee and listened to the conversation at the table next to her. 2 Centauri merchants were talking in worried voices. "My brother lost his job yesterday," one of them said. "The factory where he worked made computer parts for human ships. Now there are no human ships to sell parts to." "At least your brother had a job until yesterday," the other merchant replied. "I have been unemployed for 6 months. Nobody wants to buy jewelry when they cannot afford food." Kelly made a note in her small computer. These kinds of conversations were happening all over the galaxy. The aliens were getting desperate. Later that day, Kelly walked past the council chambers. Through the big windows, she could see alien leaders shouting at each other. She activated a small listening device and held it near the window. "This is all the fault of the Centauri," General Krax was yelling. They pushed the humans too hard in the peace talks. Do not blame us, Prime Minister. Kethver shouted back. You were the ones who wanted to make the humans pay for winning the war. Both of you are idiots, Elder Quintal said in his slow voice. The humans warned us they would leave if we kept making unreasonable demands. You did not listen. Council. Speaker Vex Dalen tried to restore order. Fighting among ourselves will not solve our problems. We need to find a way to get the humans back. How? Asked the small alien with green skin. They will not talk to us. They will not trade with us. They act like we do not exist. Kelly smiled as she listened. The mighty Galactic Council was falling apart. The same aliens who had treated humans like troublesome children were now begging for human help. That night, Kelly sent her report to Earth using a hidden communication device. The message was short but clear. Council in complete panic. Economic collapse accelerating. No signs of organized resistance. Recommend continued isolation. On Earth, President Mary Rodriguez read Kelly's report in her office. Admiral Peter Hayes sat across from her desk. The aliens are suffering more than we expected, Mary said. Peter nodded. Our economic warfare is working better than any military. Attack could. The question is, how long do we let this continue? Until they learn their lesson, Mary replied. They tried to punish us for defending ourselves. Now they can learn what real consequences look like. On the mining world of Asteroid Base 7, Krexnathi workers rioted in the streets. The base commander, General Rexstar, watched from his office window as his own people threw rocks at government. Buildings. The workers were angry because they had not been paid in 3 months. The mining equipment was broken, so there was no work to do. The food supplies were running low because human cargo ships no longer delivered to Krexnathi worlds. General Rexstar's communication officer ran into the office. Sir, we just received a message from the homeworld. They want to know if we can contact the humans directly. What would we say to them? Rexstar asked. They want us to offer the humans anything they want. Money, territory, technology, anything to get them to start trading again. Rexstar laughed bitterly. The humans do not want our money or our territory. They just want us to treat them with respect. Something we forgot how to do. Back on Nexus Prime, emergency council meetings were happening every day, but no one had any good ideas. Some aliens wanted to attack human space with whatever military forces they had left. Others wanted to send gifts and apologies. A few suggested complete surrender. The problem was simple. The humans held all the cards. They had the technology the galaxy needed. They had the resources everyone wanted. Most importantly, they had shown they could survive and prosper without anyone else. Late at night, Council Speaker Vex Thalen sat alone in the empty council chamber. The great table where representatives from dozens of species used to meet was covered with dust. Many species had stopped sending representatives because they could not afford the trip. Vex Thalen stared at the empty chair where Jake Morrison used to sit. The human diplomat had tried to warn them. He had said that demanding too much would backfire, but the council had been too proud to listen. Now the galaxy was paying the price for that pride. And somewhere in human space, Jake Morrison was probably laughing. 18 months after the humans walked away, Council Speaker Vex Thalen did something that had never happened in galactic history. He got down on his knees in front of a communication screen and begged. The message was broadcast on every frequency across the galaxy. It was translated into hundreds of languages, including human English. People of Earth, Vex Thalen said, his voice shaking. The Galactic Council humbly requests renewed dialogue with the Human Republic. We acknowledge our mistakes. We ask for your forgiveness, please. We need to talk. The message was sent every day for 2 weeks. There was no response from human space. Not even a simple yes or no. On Earth, President Mary Rodriguez watched the alien broadcasts in her office. Jake Morrison sat next to her. He had been preparing for this moment for over a year. They are ready, Jake said. Look at Vex Thalen, 6 arms, and he is still trembling. I have never seen an alien leader look so defeated, Mary nodded. Intelligence reports show their civilizations are close to complete collapse. Some Xanthari colonies are abandoning their planets. Krexnathi military units are deserting. Even the Viridians are having civil wars over food. So we respond? Jake asked. Mary was quiet for a moment. She thought about all the human families who had died when the aliens started the Outer Rim War. She thought about the arrogant demands the aliens had made during the peace talks. She thought about how they had tried to punish humanity for winning a war they did not start. We respond, Mary said finally. But on our terms. 3 days later, Jake Morrison walked back into the Galactic Council chamber on Nexus Prime. The room looked very different from the last time he had been there. Many of the seats were empty. The aliens who were there looked thin and tired. Their clothes were old and worn. Council Speaker Vex Thelen stood up when Jake entered. His 6 legs shook as he walked over to greet the human diplomat. Ambassador Morrison, Vex Thelen said. Thank you for coming. Thank you for giving us another chance. Jake looked around the chamber. Where is everyone? Last time I was here, this place was packed with alien representatives. Many species cannot afford to send representatives anymore, Vex Thelen admitted. The economic crisis has been ... severe. Jake sat down at the same table where he had listened to alien demands 18 months ago. But now the aliens were not making demands. They were making offers. Prime Minister Kethfer was the first to speak. The blue Xanthari looked like he had aged 10 years. His forearms moved nervously as he talked. The Xanthari people offer exclusive mining rights in our most valuable star systems, Kethfer said. We will give humans first choice of all rare metals and energy sources. General Crack spoke next. The red Krexnathi warrior looked defeated. His people were famous for their pride, but even that was gone now. The Krexnathi offer to place our remaining military forces under human command, Crack said. We will serve as your allies in any future conflicts. Elder Quinal from the Viridian worlds raised one of his branch-like arms. The Viridians offer to share all of our scientific knowledge with humanity. Our libraries, our research, our discoveries. Everything we have is yours. Other aliens made similar offers. Technology, resources, territory, even political control. They were giving away everything they had once tried to take from humanity. Jake listened to all the offers without saying a word. When the aliens finished talking, the chamber was completely quiet. Those are generous offers, Jake said finally. But they are not what humanity wants. The aliens looked confused. If humans did not want their resources or technology, what did they want? Jake stood up and walked to the center of the room. 18 months ago, I sat in this same chair and listened to your demands. You wanted our technology. You wanted our territory. You wanted us to pay you money for defending ourselves. Most of all, you wanted us to act like we were your servants. The aliens looked uncomfortable. They remembered those demands now, and they were ashamed. We do not want to be your masters, Jake continued. We do not want your resources or your territory. We want something much simpler. What? Vex Thelen asked quietly. Respect, Jake said. We want to be treated as equals. We want to be partners, not subjects. We want you to remember that humanity earned its place in this galaxy through strength, not through your permission. Jake pulled out a document from his jacket. These are humanity's terms for rejoining galactic society. They are not negotiable. Vex Thelen took the document with shaking hands and read it aloud. All previous council demands against humanity are void and forgiven. Human colonies maintain complete autonomy over their internal affairs. Earth reserves the right to defend itself without council interference or punishment. Humanity will be represented on the council as an equal partner with full voting rights. The terms were simple but clear. Humanity would rejoin the galaxy but only as an equal member, not as a junior partner. Do you accept these terms? Jake asked. The aliens looked at each other. Some whispered quietly, but they all knew they had no choice. Without humanity, their civilizations would collapse completely. We accept, Vex Thelen said. All of us accept. Jake smiled and signed the document. As he wrote his name, he thought about how much had changed since the last time he was in this room. The aliens who had once treated humans like troublesome children were now begging for human partnership. After the signing ceremony, Jake walked back to his ship. Lisa Grant was waiting for him at the docking bay. "How do you feel?" Lisa asked. Jake looked back at the council building where alien leaders were probably celebrating the return of human trade and technology. "I feel like we taught them a valuable lesson," Jake said. "Sometimes the best way to win a negotiation is to be willing to walk away from the table. Do you think they learned that lesson?" Jake smiled as his ship lifted off from Nexus Prime. Below them, the alien capital city sparkled with lights powered by human-built fusion reactors. "They learned that humanity does not need their approval to thrive," Jake said. "But more importantly, they learned that they need us more than they ever wanted to admit." As the ship jumped to hyperspace, Jake made one final entry in his diplomatic log. "Today, the galaxy learned that respect cannot be demanded. It must be earned. And sometimes, earning respect means being strong enough to stand alone." The war was over. Humanity had won without firing a single shot.